Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us today for our Tardy Plugin demo. I'm Tina. I'll be your tour guide. Brian, my colleague, he's going to make sure that everything runs smoothly. And as always, keep me from talking too much. We're also going to have some time at the end of the demo for a Q&A. So feel free to put your questions in the chat during the demo, and we'll answer them as soon as it's finished. So I want to kick things off today by talking about why so many districts are using our Tardy plugin. Simply put, it's the most efficient way to manage your overall Tardy process and confidently know that you have accurate data. The plugin is designed to automate all those time-consuming manual attendance tasks that you're wrestling with every day. And it frees up your staff to attend to all the other important responsibilities that they have to manage. How are we different than other Tardy solutions? Our solution is built directly into PowerSchool. There are no external apps or syncs required. We can automatically append your clock in and clock out fields, both on the meeting and on the daily records. We're configurable and ready to use in minutes. Tech-friendly and easy to use. We have a dedicated attendance activity page to help you monitor all of your attendance activity. And we're continually adding features to simplify your day. All right, let's dive into the demo here. So today, I'm going to be demonstrating how the plugin works in 2 different schools. And each school will have a different attendance recording method configured in the plugin. The first one I'm going to start in is Apple Grove High School. This school is configured to record attendance to the student's meeting record. Then we'll move over to Washington Elementary School, and I'll show you how that school works when it's configured to record to the student's daily record. I'm going to start by showing you how it works. Then we'll go behind the scenes and I'll show you how it's configured. Okay, so let's start here. PowerSchool, our plugin is installed and enabled here in my test environment, as it would be in your PowerSchool server. And our plugin creates a dedicated scan page. It's the page that your attendance staff will be interacting with in order to direct the attendance activity to the student's record. So let's go ahead and head over there now. I have favorited my page to get to the link. Makes it a little bit easier. So a couple clicks here, and we're going to land right here on the scan page. So, oh, didn't take my click. There we go. So we're going to land here on the scan page. And here we are. This is the page where your attendance staff will be interacting in order to record the student's attendance activity. This page is really simple. It's easy to use, and it was built by design that way. There's a upper section to the page, and then a lower section here, which is displaying student attendance activity. Let's talk about the top half of this page. We have a date and a timestamp. That's going to pull from your local time zone. Okay, so wherever you are in the world, you'll see a date and a timestamp local to you. There's a default attendance code. You configure this. The default code that you choose is the one that you are going to expect to use most of the time. You can change that default code at any time or select a different one if you have a student that requires another. You can configure your hall pass option to be turned on or off. The attendance comment gives you an area to write any important information about your student who's coming in late or leaving early. That information will be recorded and written to the student's comment field on their attendance record. And then this field right here, green box, cursor flashing, it's looking for ID entry, okay? It's looking for a student ID number. In PowerSchool, you're either using the student ID or the student number, and that's what's requested here in this field. Let's talk about the bottom half of the page. The bottom half of the page is going to display your student's attendance activity. It's a daily view of attendance activity. So at the start of the day, your page is empty. And as you record attendance activity, your information will build. You do have the option to see as many or as few records on this page as you want. All right, let's talk a little bit. I'm going to back up here and talk a little bit about ID entry. Well, how do we get our student's ID in here? You can do it a bunch of different ways or a combination of ways. You can manually type a number in. That's just me typing on my keyboard. If you already have ID cards with a barcode on the back of it, as long as that barcode represents the student number or student ID, you can use a barcode scanner. Scan that barcode, it will send the ID number in. You could use a pin pad. You know, sometimes think the way that people are using pin pads in cafeterias. Pin pad is facing the student types their ID number in. Or the fan favorite here, a finger scanner. Finger scanner ensures privacy, accuracy, and efficiency. Kids come to school with these every day. It's a great way to add efficiency to using our plugin. Reminder, you don't have to use the finger scan option. Any of those input devices or options will work just fine. Okay, so let's see how it works. Let's do it. Let's give a quick run through. I'm going to show you the first time using my finger scanner. I'm going to place my finger on the scanner here, and if you watch the screen, what you're going to notice is a hall pass is going to populate. That's what you see. But the cool thing, all your attendance has already been recorded on the back end. So your student's record has already been updated, your timestamp is in there, your meeting time entry fields are appropriately appended if you're using that option. So just like that, it's already in there. Okay. But I'm going to pause here because I want to show you the hall pass. So your hall pass will display the date and the time, your student's name, the class on the student's bell schedule. So when Jamie came into the building, and I'm representing Jamie today, Jamie came into the building, she had English 2 on her schedule, and that's what is displayed on her hall pass. That's where she should be heading. The attendance code was the code, if you can kind of peek back here behind my dialogue, that was the attendance code that was used for Jamie's scan entry. The status is going to pull from the way that you have your attendance code configured. Then down here, there's 2 more great pieces of information. One is the total tardy count. We're going to keep track of the tardies for you. So the tardy count here for Jamie is 22. 22 represents the total number of times that Jamie has been late to any one of her classes from the start of the year. And then underneath that is a statement that I've created that aligns with the tardy threshold of 22. My message happens to say education is the passport to the future and some other things. Yours is going to say something different, or maybe kind of like mine and you want to use that one. But again, it's configurable. You're going to decide what message that you want to share with your student based on the tardy threshold that they've reached at that time. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to show you, I just typed another number in. I want to show you how fast this process actually works. We're ready for the next student, right? I didn't pause on the hall pass there because I really wanted to show you and accent how quickly this whole process works. So there we are. We had Jamie. Now we have Jane. A couple things. Let's talk about this. The tardy slip. Let's just say your receipt printer or your hall pass, didn't quite make it for whatever reason. The printer got jammed. You have the option to reprint it. Over here, as the names are listed under the student entries, you can link these back right to the student record. So let's go check and see how that attendance was recorded after Jamie scanned in late to school. So let's go. Did I do Jamie or Jane? I'm sorry, Jane, 2 J's, getting myself confused. Okay, let's take a look down here. And here we are. When Jane came in, she had journalism on her bell schedule. That was the class. Notice the attendance code was written as expected. The comment shows the time that Jane scanned in. And if you would like, optional, you can configure your plugin to also automatically append the clock in field in a meeting time entry, so you don't have to manage that manually. Okay, so did a lot of cool things there. So remember, as soon as that finger was placed or the ID number was typed in, all of that stuff happened. It was a couple seconds there. So This is the drum roll, bump bump. This is the cool part, right? It does all kind of great things here and automates the manual. Okay, let's go back. Let's go back to our scan page. Again, I link them in my favorites because it certainly just makes it easier not to have to click too many times. And here we are back on the scan page. Daily activity, right? This is going to show the daily activity for your students and list as many or as few entries as you want to see on this page. But over here on the printing page, this is a way for you to take a look at historical data, okay? A way for you to start connecting dots and figure out how best to use the data that you've collected to manage to your approach to attendance intervention, right? Really get these kids on the right track. So basic filter is just part of PowerSchool. So this filter option remains. I'm going to just kind of open these up independently because I think it gives you a really nice view of what you have here. Okay, but look at all these awesome sort features. So you can go ahead and refine your searches and filters to see the information very easily to be able to make some decisions about what you want to do with certain codes or certain students or get a trend on a certain day. So let's kind of talk a little bit about how people use these filters or this printing page most effectively. One of the most popular ways that people use it is to kind of see how many students have reached a certain tardy threshold for a particular code, right? So that they know, okay, anybody that has about 4, maybe these are the kids that we want to start to talk to. So I'm going to show you how that would happen. I'm going to choose tardy unexcused. That's the code that I'm looking to see activity on. And then I'm going to go down here, total tardies, number 4. All righty. And I was looking at that, I'm sorry, I was looking at the chat there for a sec, but when I run this filter, look what happens. I get all kinds of information here about my students who have reached a total tardy threshold of 4 for this code, tardy unexcused. Let me open this up because I want to show you something really neat about this too. This, I think, is just a phenomenal way to really get even more detailed data. Take a look at our friend Gina Hastings here. Actually, I'm going to see if I can get 25 on here and still be able to show you. Okay, cool. So let's kind of take a look at Gina. So Gina Hastings here, you'll see her name is on here several times. Where's her 4th? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, here, 1, 2, 3, 4. Here she is, 4 times. We not only show you the top level tardy that a student has reached, okay, but then we're going to show you how they got there. So let's take a look at Gina, for example, chemistry, and then she was chemistry again, then she was French, and then she was French. You know, you can start to see how this information can be super useful. Maybe her class and, you know, her French grade is dropping. Well, you see some trends. Well, maybe Gina has missed a few too many classes. You know, connect the dots using this page. You can do all kinds of neat things in here. I could spend all day talking about it, but I won't. All right, let's back out here and let's go back to the scan page. And just like a quick review here, this is the page where student attendance is entered. It's the one that is open and up in PowerSchool when your students are coming in late to the building or leaving early. Your printing page is going to give you your attendance, historical attendance data that you can search and review and pull together to monitor and really be able to grab some very useful information that you can use for your attendance intervention plans. Okay. Let's talk about how it's configured. Brian, did I leave anything out here? Anything that you think I could talk about more on this page? I got them all. Okay, cool. So let's go behind the scenes. Let's go see how this is set up. So I'm in school management, and there's 2 places that we visit in order to configure our plugin, both under the attendance category. The first is our school settings, and then we're going to go up to our attendance codes. Let's start here first. So there's 3 main sections that get configured here. Main settings, print slip settings, and then our tardy comment settings. So the main settings are really, it's kind of the bread and the butter of how this is all going to, actually function for you. It's what really drives the plugin. These are the settings and how you want this to work for you. So you're going to decide whether or not you want your plugin to record to the student's meeting record or record to the student's daily record. As I said, in Apple Grove High School, I chose meeting attendance because I want my students' attendance records written to for the meeting. I want the attendance codes written on the meeting side. So I've selected meeting. I've selected my default attendance code. Pulls from your bank, right? This is going to be your attendance bank where this information is pulled from. And then some options here. Talk about returning to the default on the scan page that you've selected. Do you want a hall pass printed? What's your student identifier? Your tardy count period. Do you want to collect tardies for the entire year? Or would you like to reset them based on the way that your terms are set up? That's where you'll make that decision. Total tardy count period. Include the scan time in the attendance comment. We default that to yes. It's a very, very useful piece of information, even if you're using the clock in and clock out option. This is a global setting. If you want to track those instructional minutes, as many states are now required to do. And then the scanning page limit. So the scan page, how many records do you want to see? Some people set it at 500. Some people set it at 0. It's entirely up to you. Next section is the print slip settings. This is all about how you want your hall pass to look. And then your tardy comments. This again, remember that hall pass. There was a tardy count and then there was a message. This is the spot where you're going to set your message up. So I'm going to back out over this and show you, you have 400 characters to write your message. So whatever it is that you would like to convey, share, behavior change, comment to your students on that hall pass, that's where you'll write that. And then you would submit your changes. Okay, so that's the first area that gets set up. Second area is going to be our attendance codes. The attendance codes, and I'm going to open up the attendance code that I used for the demo, which was tardy unexcused. Okay. You'll notice here, there are additional set of options that are added to your attendance code, typically at the bottom. I think in Ohio, it's sandwiched somewhere in between. This is a California server, but right down here at the bottom, we have 6 options to decide. So again, this is a tardy code. I'm going to decide whether or not I want to use this code to count as a tardy, which I do. I'm going to decide the logic that will be applied to the tardy code if using the clock in and the clock out option. So tardy codes would have a plan B selected. Basically what the logic means is that you're going to write that timestamp to the clock in field, right? Makes sense. I have the next 4 enabled because I want this code to generate a hall pass. I want to see some historical activity for this code on my printing page. And I definitely want to see the tardy count and the comment on the pass when this code is used on that scan page for any student attendance events. So just 6 things to decide upon when you visit each code. While I'm here, I just want to show you like an alternative code here, which would be pretty much the opposite of a tardy. I'm going to go into my early out code, and I want to show you how those options are just a little bit different. It's not a tardy code, so I don't count this as a tardy. I wouldn't select that. For an early out code, I want to be able to write to the clock out field, right? Because from there, PowerSchool is going to grab that timestamp and do the appropriate calculation. So it's important to make sure that your tardies go to the clock in and your early outs go to the clock out for accurate accounting within PowerSchool. PowerSchool manages all of that. I want a hall pass generated for this code. I want to see the code, attendance activity on that printing page, but it's not a tardy code, so I don't need the student to see a tardy count, and I don't need to see a comment on the pass. So I would deselect those so that the early dismissal pass will just have a little less information. So I just wanted to show you like the distinction between the two and how you might want to set them up. Okay, done. Then our plugin is configured. It really takes about, if you know your decisions in advance, it could take 15 minutes, but it might take you, if you're going to do all of your preset tardy comments, maybe 30 minutes to get everything all set up. So it's pretty quick to get that done. Okay. So what I want to do now, I said I was going to show you two. Oh, it's a hiccup. Okay. I said I was going to show, I'm going to get out of here real quick, but I said I would show you two different schools. The first one was Apple Grove High School. Again, I'm recording to the student's meeting record, but let's just travel over to Washington Elementary, because in my district, my elementaries are recording to the daily side. So everything looks, I mean, identical. You're barely going to notice any difference. Just a couple of things. So here we are in Washington Elementary School. Again, I favorite my page so that I can get to it quickly. I'm on the daily page. And here we are on the scan page. It looks pretty much identical, right? I've chosen tardy unexcused. I could choose any code from my attendance bank. I have my hall pass set. I have my attendance date and my timestamp. Let's go here, and I'm going to scan my finger. Oops, I forgot something. Oh, there you are. My scan window. I'm going to show you what it looks like when I scan my finger here first. Scan my finger, and already attendance is recorded. All that part is already done. We have a hall pass. I want to point out to you, the hall pass looks a little bit different because it's the daily attendance. I don't show the class that Anthony has on his bell schedule. So that is one distinction between the meeting and the daily side. Everything else looks, pretty much the same. I have a date and a timestamp. I have a tardy count and a threshold. I have my student's name. Again, same procedure. If we want to go take a look at Anthony and take a look at his record and see how everything recorded. Here we are, Thursday. I have timestamp information. The logic here is clock in time is going to represent the time that Anthony came into the building, and we'll auto append the end of the day for the bell schedule. I have a really long bell schedule because I do demos all over the world, so don't be alarmed. My kids aren't in school that long. But yeah, so 7 o'clock represents the end of the day for the bell schedule for today. So yeah. And then same thing, I'm going to go back here, favorite it, come back to my page, and then I want to talk a little bit about the printing page and just kind of show it to you. Again, it's going to look, it's identical for the most part, right? Except for the class information that you won't see because that's not part of the daily. The meeting it's important because we're pulling that part from the schedule. But yeah, and same basic idea. Okay. All right, so I think I covered all the things here. It's an excellent way to streamline your entire tardy process. Fast, easy, efficient, accurate, and will really make a difference in your schools. At least that's what everyone's telling us. Okay, so that's all I have, unless Brian, you would like me to go over anything else with our friends here on our webinar?
I think just pointing out the distinction between recording to meeting attendance versus daily attendance, and choosing a path.
Okay, sure. Let's go in here. So let me go back here. I'm going to go to Washington Elementary here real quick. So if we take a look at, I'm going to school management, right? We're just kind of going into our main settings here. So the plugin is configured by school. So let's just, for example, you're a district and you have 5 elementaries, 2 middle schools, and a high school. Okay, and you want everybody to be using the plugin. But each school has a different attendance preference set in PowerSchool. So maybe your elementaries are really only care about recording or pulling reports from the daily attendance. And your middle schools and your high schools might be using meeting attendance. Maybe your middle school has a mix of daily and meeting, and your high school only has meeting. You want to determine at the school level when your students are coming into the building, or where your attendance recording preference would be based on how you need to pull reports or where your school needs to see that data entered. So for my elementary schools, What I want to see happen is I want my students' daily attendance record updated when they come in through the front office and our plugin is used to record their attendance. Because in my elementary school, Washington Elementary School, my reports are pulled from the daily attendance and I want to ensure that they're accurate. Notice here, I have the daily toggled to yes and the meeting to no. Alternatively, in my high school, it's more important. I'm pulling meeting records. I want to ensure accuracy on the meeting attendance record side. So when the plugin is used to record attendance, I want all of that attendance recording to go to the student's meeting record, the class on the bell schedule at the time that they're either scanning in or scanning out. So in that case, I'm going to choose the meeting option, right? You can only choose one. All right, so that's the distinction. You're going to decide. The other thing I want to mention about that is sometimes districts say, oh, I think I want to use the daily option. And then they find, 3 months into it, you know what, meeting is going to serve us better. You can change it at any time. You're not locked into it just because you configured it on day one to work that way. You can go ahead and change that and modify, as needed.
I think it's also helpful to point out that this system can be rolled out at any point in the year.
Mm-hmm.
It only takes,
Yep.
as you said, 30 minutes-ish to configure and can be rolled out immediately and be used
Yeah. Yeah.
as soon as you are ready.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And I'll tag along with that thought, Brian, in that I want to go back to the input options, right? And I think I talked about it briefly. You can roll it out at any time. And also, let's just say you want to use the finger scan option and you're going to be, creating all of your biometric, database. That might take a little bit of time. Well, you can use a combination of finger scan and you can, with a pin pad or manual entry or barcode, like something until you actually have a database built of your biometric database built, and then you could kind of move away from some of the options. But just the idea that you're not locked into one way to enter ID information. You can use a combination, and depending upon what works best for you, the options can be kind of interchanged.
Thank you. One thing that kind of leads us into is pricing. So I know there's been some great interest in this, and can include pricing details on a follow-up email. But just a general idea of pricing. If you have under 1,000 students, it's going to be $1,800 a year.
Mm-hmm.
If it's over 1,000 students, it's going to be $1.80 a student. So you could do some quick math with the number of students you have in your school, and that'll be annually. And that is for the Front Office Tardy Plugin.
Yeah.
That is, biometrics are going to be a separate purchase.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just going to say that. So that's the plugin option, right? And if you're interested in adding on the finger scan option, it's priced by package, and we could send you some information on that as well. We'll onboard, of course, we onboard for everything as well. Just so you know that we are here. We will take you from, the time you say, hey, let's do this, forevermore, all the onboarding, the install, the configuration, the support, all of that. How about do we have any other questions?
We do. Just wanted to follow that up with, if you are thinking about doing this, we'd love to talk to you and chat about your unique situations, but we do also offer free trials. So that's something to keep in mind.
Mm-hmm.
Well, one of the questions we have here is regarding students in the classroom, in and out of the classroom, not in and out of the building or school. Can you touch on that at all?
Yeah, it's not designed to be used that way. Could you use it that way? Probably, you could use it that way, sure. I know I'm getting creative here. It's not really designed to do that. But if you did, you would definitely have to make sure, like your teachers would have to have admin logins to PowerSchool, which typically is not the case. They're using PowerTeacher, and this is not going to work in conjunction with PowerTeacher. It's specifically designed as like to be writing as an administrator, more front office style, attendant staff using it. But sure, I mean, and as Brian said, we can have a discussion if you wanted to kind of talk and think about, kind of an out of the box way to use the solution. Love to talk to you more about that and how that might look for you.
Okay. Can you go over again the ID entry methods?
Sure. Finger scan. I'm just kind of showing you my little finger scanner here. There's a finger scan option. You can use manual entry on like a keyboard. Think about your device that you're wherever you're, launching PowerSchool, use your keyboard and type a number in. You could use a barcode scanner if your students have ID cards, assuming that the barcode represents just the student number or the student ID, like no extraneous like names or anything like that. Or pin pad, like cafeteria style, right? Think about a pin pad attached to the computer where PowerSchool is running and our scan page is loaded. You could have a pin pad. Like kind of think of it this way, the computer is facing the attendance clerk or the attendance staff, and the pin pad kind of sits on the outside, and when the students come in, they can type their number in. So manual, keyboard entry, pin pad entry, ID card with a barcode scanner, or finger scan. Interchange any of those options.
It sounds like we cover pretty much every way that somebody already is using PowerSchool to enter attendance. So your current method of ID entry will likely work without having to change anything up. Are the tardy actions, tardy codes configurable?
Let's kind of take a look at that. The tardy codes are all going to be, our codes that we're pulling are all based on the way that you've built your attendance bank. So let's just go in. So when you build your attendance bank in PowerSchool, like when you're, building your SIS, these attendance codes are the ones that we're pulling from. So any of the attendance codes that you have built in your bank, we will pull from. Inside, let's open one up. The piece that is configurable would be our options that we provide when the plugin is installed and enabled. So that's kind of the overlap of how we are managing the behavior of the attendance code. Did that make sense? Was that clear? Okay.
I believe that clears up the question. The final question that we had here was ready to move forward, but I need to show a few others how this works. And can we test it out? Yes, we have a free trial, and there's tardy demos on our website, and we're happy to do this again with you individually.
I find that's really useful too. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there, Brian, at the end, but I find it really useful. There's a lot of times where people will come to our webinars and then they want to schedule because the particulars about how any one school runs their attendance, vary from district to district. So absolutely, bring folks along so we can kind of peel back the layers and figure out how to make our solution work best for you. There was another thing that you said, Brian, that I wanted to key off of. Oh, the free trial. Huge fan. I mean, it's a great way to decide whether or not this tool is going to work for you, right? Use it for a couple, 2-3 weeks. Biometrics are not included, though. When you're talking about the free trial, just kind of bear that in mind. It's a chance for you to see the plugin and the way it records attendance and whether it provides an efficient tool for you. And it's awesome because if it works for you, then we just formalize the paperwork and you're already going. If it doesn't provide the efficiencies that you're looking for, then you uninstall it and, we've made a friend. So, it's a great way just to give it a test run to really confirm that the tool is what your school needs. So please, if you want to take advantage of that, I highly encourage and recommend it.
Yeah, thank you. That's all the questions that we had today. And if anyone comes up with more questions, please feel free to respond to the follow-up email that you'll be receiving later today. we're happy to reach out and make a new friend.
Love it. Thank you. Thanks everybody for your time today. I hope it was helpful, and Brian and I look forward to hearing from you.
Thanks.
Bye.